You drown not by falling into a river, but by staying submerged in it. When you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. I have seen many storms in my life. Most storms have caught me by surprise, so I had to learn very quickly to look further and understand that I am not capable of controlling the weather, to exercise the art of patience and to respect the fury of nature. Life was always a matter of waiting for the right moment to act. You have to take risks. We will only understand the miracle of life fully when we allow the unexpected to happen. No, I never saw an angel, but it is irrelevant whether I saw one or not. I feel their presence around me. Waiting is painful. Forgetting is painful. But not knowing which to do is the worst kind of suffering. Elegance is usually confused with superficiality, fashion, lack of depth. This is a serious mistake. Human beings need to have elegance in their actions and in their posture because this word is synonymous with good taste, amiability, equilibrium and harmony. When a person really desires something, all the universe conspires to help that person to realize his dream. You can become blind by seeing each day as a similar one. Each day is a different one, each day brings a miracle of its own. It's just a matter of paying attention to this miracle. The good old days, when each idea had an owner, are gone forever. Everybody is a political person, whether you say something or you are silent. A political attitude is not whether you go to parliament, it's how you deal with your life, with your surroundings. Everything that happens once can never happen again. But everything that happens twice will surely happen a third time. Let us be absolutely clear about one thing: we must not confuse humility with false modesty or servility. Happiness is just another of the tricks that our genetic system plays on us to carry out its only role, which is the survival of the species. I cry very easily. It can be a movie, a phone conversation, a sunset. Tears are words waiting to be written. No one can lie, no one can hide anything, when he looks directly into someone's eyes. Love can consign us to hell or to paradise, but it always takes us somewhere. All women have a perception much more developed than men. So all women somehow, being repressed for so many millennia, they ended up by developing this sixth sense and contemplation and love. And this is something that we have a hard time to accept as part of our society. When I'm dancing, I'm not thinking about anything. I am here. I am totally there. You know? And the feeling is a sensation of being away from myself. My soul dances with the angels, and my body dances with my wife. Every blessing ignored becomes a curse. Everybody has a creative potential, and from the moment you can express this creative potential, you can start changing the world. I believe enlightenment or revelation comes in daily life. I look for joy, the peace of action. You need action. I'd have stopped writing years ago if it were for the money. I'm not saying that love always takes you to heaven. Your life can become a nightmare. But that said, it is worth taking the risk. My connection with Brazil is so abstract. My blood and my way of thinking is Brazilian, but that's it. I don't tend to go back to the past, and although I have an apartment there, I rarely visit. When I move, I really move. I lived in a dictatorship in Brazil, and I was arrested 3 times. I felt in my flesh what it is to live under such a regime and experience deprivation of freedom. The gigantic tension before the shooting of an arrow, and the total relaxation seconds later, is my way of connecting to the universe. The major religions, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, they deny somehow that God has a feminine face. However, if you go to the holy texts, you see there is this feminine presence. I tweet in the morning and the evening. To write 12 hours a day, there is a moment when you're really tired. It's my relaxing time. Jesus lived a life that was full of joy and contradictions and fights, you know? If they were to paint a picture of Jesus without contradictions, the Gospels would be fake, but the contradictions are a sign of authenticity. Everything is possible, from angels to demons to economists and politicians. I think you can have 10,000 explanations for failure, but no good explanation for success. About the idea of a clash between cultures, between civilizations, I don't believe in it. It's something some political leaders tried to use, and that the media tried and are still trying to sell us, in order to simplify the world and their work. Twitter is my bar. I sit at the counter and listen to the conversations, starting others, feeling the atmosphere. Things do not always happen the way I would like them to happen, and I had better get used to that. Writers are lampposts and critics are dogs. Ask lampposts what they think about dogs. Does the dog hurt the lamppost? I write from my soul. This is the reason that critics don't hurt me, because it is me. If it was not me, if I was pretending to be someone else, then this could unbalance my world, but I know who I am. What I can say is that all my characters are searching for their souls, because they are my mirrors. I'm someone who is constantly trying to understand my place in the world, and literature is the best way that I found in order to see myself. I walk every day, and I look at the mountains and the fields and the small city, and I say, oh my God, what a blessing. Then you realize it's important to put it in a context beyond this woman, this man, this city, this country, this universe. I'm first and foremost a writer. I followed my personal legend, my childhood dream of becoming a writer, but I can't say why I'm one. Of course, to have money is just great because you can do what you think is important to you. I always was a rich person because money's not related to happiness. The only thing that relaxes me is archery. That's why I have to have apartments with gardens. However happy people say they are, nobody is satisfied. We always have to be with the prettiest woman, buy a bigger house, change cars, desire what we do not have. My literature is much more the result of a paradox than that of an implacable logic, typical of police novels. The paradox is the tension that exists in my soul. It's very difficult to read a book on your computer. I'm modern because I make the difficult seem easy, and so I can communicate with the whole world. We want to answer this classical question, who am I? So I think that most of our works are for art, or whatever we do, including science or religion, tried to answer that question. In writing, I apply my feminine side and respect the mystery involved in creation. I was not encouraged to follow the career of a writer because my parents thought that I was going to starve to death. They thought nobody can make a living from being a writer in Brazil. They were not wrong. I've done everything I wanted to do, even if I have had to pay a very high price, which has been the case most of the time. I am a Catholic because I choose to be a Catholic. And then I go to the Mass because I choose. It is out of my free will. I have been practicing archery for a long time. A bow and arrow helps me to unwind. I always was a rich person because money's not related to happiness. I wanted to write when I was young, but people said it was impossible. Then my parents locked me in a mental institution. They said I was crazy and would never make a living from writing. I am not a self-help writer. I am a self-problem writer. When people read my books, I provoke some things. I cannot justify my work. I do my work, it is up to them to classify it, to judge. Physical elegance, which is what I am talking about here, comes from the body. This is no superficial matter, but rather the way that man found to honor the way he places his 2 feet on the ground. Of course, to have money is just great because you can do what you think is important to you. When I write a book, I write a book for myself. The reaction is up to the reader. It's not my business whether people like or dislike it. I don't set out to write about spirituality. I am free to do something different every time. Most of my young years were spent under the boots of the military. I love almost everything about my work except conferences. I am too shy in front of an audience. But I love signings and having eye contact with a reader who already knows my soul. It's not difficult for me to put my feelings into written form. I try to be concise and to go direct to the subject. This is what people like about my work, and what the critics hate. Sometimes I catch myself stooping, and whenever I am like that, I am sure something is not quite right. Once I found this possibility to use Twitter and Facebook and my blog to connect to my readers, I'm going to use it, to connect to them and to share thoughts that I cannot use in the book.